Miscellaneous minds, never explaining the minds. Devilish grin for my alias, aliens who respond. Peddling sin, thinking maybe when you get old you realize I'm not gonna fold or demise. I don't smoke crack, motherfucker, I sell it.
What is going on, everybody? This is the Miscellaneous Minds Podcast. I'm your co-host, Puma Gato, the cat that hands your rivalry back. And to my left over here is the main man, Jesus De Niro, the man that makes the fat stacks. Taking it away from the dynamic duo that won't die. Deadly ideas, brother, and spicier content than your girls' only fans. What is going on, everybody? Before we get into tonight's topic, please make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit. And with that, let's get right into it. So, Gervonta Tank Davis versus Frank Ghost Martin. Listen, I'm a fan of both of these guys. I think they both bring a lot to the table. To be honest with you, I think this is the first quality opponent that I've seen Tank face in a while. He has a couple names on his resume that I respect. Ryan Garcia, Leo Santa Cruz, Pitbull Cruz. But really, that's kind of the extent of it. Listen, I've said this before. I think Tank Davis is a great talent. I think Tank Davis has a lot to show, and he has a lot of tools in the game, but his resume is not that great. I think Frank Martin's a quality opponent. I think Frank Martin brings a lot to the fight. I think he's great at a lot of the things that he does. But I think the number one thing, and the reason that I like this, is because Frank Martin's proven himself beyond a shadow of a doubt that he deserves this type of fight. Some of those other names, the Leo Santa Cruzes, the Pitbull Cruz, so on and so forth. Pitbull Cruz was really a backup opponent. Leo Santa Cruz came up two weight divisions to fight Tank Davis, and up until his fight against Tank, Ryan Garcia hadn't really had too many good fights other than, I can't remember the gentleman's name from New England, Cool Hands. I can't remember his name right now. My apologies. But other than that, even Ryan Garcia's resume wasn't that great, so it was questionable. Frank Martin has done a good amount of work. He's put in his time. I feel like he's got a good few names under his belt. So I think this is going to be a great fight for that reason. Now, with that being said, who do I believe is going to win? I believe Tank is going to win. I believe this is the setup, getting such a good name under his belt, to set up bigger things, maybe a rematch against Ryan. I know that Tank has been lashing out at Shakur Stevenson a lot lately. I highly doubt Devin's in the talk right now, given how bad of a whooping he took very recently against Ryan. Maybe even a potential rematch against Pitbull. But regardless of the scenario, I do personally think that this is a good fight. I wouldn't call it an absolute win for Tank Davis to say he's going to win without the shadow of a doubt. I do favor him, highly favor him in this fight, but I don't think Frank Martin is going to make it that easy for him. I don't think it's going to be a shutout. I think it's going to be a good fight to watch. But, regardless of the scenario, I do think Tank is going to win. I think Tank just has too many good tools that I feel like really people underrate him. Yes, Tank has power. We all know that. Everybody talks about it, so on and so forth. I'm not here to talk about that. I actually think a lot of the things, for example, I think Tank has a real good ring generalship. I think he commands the pace of the fight very, very well. I think he has a lot of ring IQ, not just in the way that he manages the ring, but in the way that he sets up traps. I think he does it great. He did it great against Rolly Romero. I think he did it very well against Ryan Garcia as well. And different things like that. Apart from his power, apart from the ring generalship, I think his footwork is a little bit underrated. I think if you look at the fights between him and Ryan, between him and Pitbull, I think he moves around very well. And again, maybe it's because everyone, salivates over his power so much that it's kind of forgotten how well those other things are, but he's really good at those as well. So I think, people don't give Tank enough credit in those avenues of his game. And I think those things put together is the reason why I favor him in the fight, why I think he's going to be the one coming out the winner. But again, listen, Frank Martin isn't going to make it easy on him. He's definitely going to take it to him. And I think Frank Martin has enough tools in his belt to make it a tricky and difficult fight for Tank, but not one that Tank can't win. What do you think about that, my man?
I think it's an unfortunate case for Frank Martin, because it seems like the story of the fight is basically a David and Goliath kind of story. Because look, for the most part, Tank Davis is a bully in the ring, and to be honest, a little sometimes outside the ring. But in the ring, I actually kind of favor that attitude. The fact that, again, he controls the ring, he sets up traps. He can swarm. He has footwork. Like, again, this man is absolutely versatile. And again, the whole bully you inside the ring, it's not exactly a unfair assessment of Tank Davis's fight style. Again, this man controls the ring. He can swarm you. He can do it all. So again, Frank Martin, when he goes up against his opponents or whatever, he can swarm, and for the most part, he controls the ring. But again, for the most part, and again, not an indictment on his past opponents, but they're not Tank Davis. Like, this is going to be a whole new opponent. This is going to be a whole new test for him. I am not counting out Frank Martin at all. What I am saying, though, is that he has a slightly uphill battle, but it's one that I think he's going to be absolutely ready for. Is he going to be ready for potentially all the setups that Tank Davis has? I'm not entirely sure. I think he's going to try and fight him one-on-one, probably going to be doing on the close infighting, but I think Tank Davis is going to be setting up some long distance fighting, and he's going to be setting up some potential missteps and try and catch him on the off foot. What do you think about that analysis?
Listen, my man, I'll be honest with you. I think you're right. I think he's going to try to fight him on the inside. I think the problem for someone like Frank Martin is he's great at attacking. The problem is that Gervonta is a great counterpuncher. His punch again, the punch that knocked out Rolly Romero, counterpunch. The punch that got Ryan Garcia, counterpunch to the body. Yeah, man, I think a lot of the things that Gervonta does are the kryptonite to a Frank Martin, and I think that's the reason why I think that Frank Martin is going to eventually, take a L to Tank Davis. I think you're right that Frank Martin brings so many different things to the game, but unfortunately, like you said, the people that he faced and the people on his resume, they're not Gervonta Tank Davis. And I think ultimately that's going to prove to be the downfall of Frank Martin. It's just one of those, like you said, a little bit too much of a hill to climb. Listen, it's going to be a great fight no matter what. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Again, I'm not completely counting out Frank Martin. I think he stands a chance. It's definitely an uphill battle. I personally think that Gervonta Tank Davis is going to take it. How is he going to take it, I guess, is the question in my eyes. I do think it's going to go to decision. I'm not ruling out a knockout. Now, with Tank Davis, it's definitely a possibility, but I do think it's going to go to decision just because Frank Martin is a tricky enough individual to where he can definitely stay alive in the game. He has enough of belief and will to be able to get up after a knockdown, which is definitely possible in this match. So I think it's going to go to decision, but listen, again, don't ever rule out a knockout win from Gervonta. I do think that it's been getting maybe a little bit harder and harder for Gervonta to get those as much as he used to, just because the level of competition that he's been fighting is slowly stepping up, which is one of the things that people like myself for years have been asking of Tank. Tank has a lot of talent, man. Again, there's a reason why boxers like Canelo have said that Gervonta and Tank Davis is their favorite fighter. The problem is his resume. His resume has just not been that great until more recently. Again, I really don't want to give him the Leo Santa Cruz, even though Leo Santa Cruz is for sure a first ballot Hall of Famer, just because Leo Santa Cruz stepped up 2 weight classes. And yeah, he got knocked out, but he got knocked out by a man 2 weight classes above him. Either way, it's a good name to have on your resume. Ryan Garcia, especially now after the Devin Haney win, is a good person to have on your resume as you beat. And even Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz has been getting more and more flowers as of late just because of all the wins that he's done, especially his most recent win against Rolly Romero. So another good name to have under your belt. So I'm glad to see that Gervonta Tank Davis has been stepping on his game, and I'm looking forward to more of that in the future. So hopefully this will be another good name that he can add to his belt. And listen, if Frank Martin wins, good for him. That's a quality name to have on your resume as well if he beats Gervonta Tank Davis, which is definitely a possibility. Anything else you want to add to that, my man?
Yes, I actually do want Frank Martin personally to win myself. Again, do I count that Gervonta Davis is going to win or not? No, I think it's actually more likely that Tank Davis is going to win it. I personally would want Frank Martin to win this, however, just because, again, it's going to shake up Gervonta Davis's pond a little bit more. And again, honestly, if we get a run back on this fight, yeah, I'd absolutely be here for it. I think the smart thing for Frank Martin to do is study Tank Davis in the ring, why he's actually in with him. Start doing a pick and spy, do a little bit of dissecting, and do defense, and try and keep him on the outside as much as possible, which is counterintuitive to what Frank Martin is used to. But I think this is you're not going to win him by KO, so you might as well beat him on a judge's decision if you want to get the W. And to be honest, having a Tank Davis W, even if it's by a split decision or even a majority decision, dude, you have that on your resume. Like, you, no matter what people say about that, they can't take that away from you. And I think that'd be the smart decision in this case.
Fair enough, my man. Fair enough. I think that's a great thing to point out. I'll point him. Listen, if you get the dub against the Gervonta Davis, even if it's a points decision, even if it's a decision by the judges, you can always say, hey, I beat the man, and you can definitely get a second fight for even more money. So great analysis, my man. I completely agree with you. Listen, we'll definitely see. We're going to be tuning this one. Again, we're going to do a final fight analysis the week of the fight. So make sure that you guys tune in for that one. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you on the next one.